Well.
God damn it! I just got on.
Hello.
Hello.
Well.
Well.
Well. Alright, are we gonna talk about Big Monkey?
We should be talking a big monkey.
We'll be talking about Big Monkey tonight. So, speaking of incredibly racist things,
Oh no.
let's talk about King Kong.
Look, there's some racist and
Holy
sexist shit about this movie, but
Oh yeah.
All right, I want to start off this by saying our talk about King Kong by saying this. I did not realize how much of the movie took place on that island.
Oh, a lot. Yeah.
So wait a minute.
So here's the thing. From what I remember, I didn't realize because I haven't seen King Kong since I was like 9 years old, right?
But you haven't watched you didn't watch like the Peter Jackson?
No, I have not. So like, I'm not kidding when I say for the most part, any movies that we watch in our series are movies I'm watching for the first time.
Okay.
Feels like the first
Also, I
time.
don't know if we'll get to this, but I do want to make a point since Brandon just brought up the Percy Jackson one or the Peter Jackson one.
The Peter Jackson.
We're watching Percy Jackson. King Kong. I'd watch it.
I'd watch the shit out of it.
Damn Jack Black's acting. I was like, why is he like really out there? And then rewatching Kong, and I was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, no, it makes
He's doing a caricature of the time.
Of the time, yeah.
So, from my memory, it wasn't like they unveil Kong for the first time and then he breaks out and runs rampant. Spoiler alert. I always thought it was like there was like a montage of those. You know, he's doing a show here, he's doing a show here. There's multiple shows happening, and then like he finally just rips out. I don't remember it being such a very rapid succession once he gets back to land.
No, it's pretty much like Young Frankenstein. But...
Right. So let's talk about this film.
Yes, let's talk about it.
So
hold on. So since you mentioned it, where was everybody at with this movie? Was it your first time watching it, or the first time in a long time?
It's like my first time in a long time.
It was my first time watching it as a whole. I've seen like bits and pieces of it, like catching it on TV.
Well, also, one of the other things is this movie, I feel like, is the monster equivalent of The Simpsons, because this movie has been referenced and parodied so many times that when you watch it, you're like, oh, that's right. That's where this came from. Well, that's where this.
If you look at just the you guys know the company, The Asylum, right?
I don't.
Is that they're the ones that do the shitty sci-fi
They're the ones
movies?
that do all the shitty sci-fis. I think they're the ones that did Sharknado, right?
Oh, I didn't even know there was an actual studio name.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, they do
very
schlocky, terrible
cash grabs.
You know,
they take
cash
advantage.
grabs.
They take advantage of whatever film is coming out that year. So, as you've said, Brandon, this film is a product of its time. King Kong is...
It very much is. And also, Jose, to reiterate, this was your first time watching it, and it's all the way through in its original entirety. I'd like to know what...
If you got the motion?
Yeah. What was your take?
Man, there was a lot going on for me. Sorry, it's just yeah, I don't know. Like for sure, when I was watching it, I was like, okay, I'm in the film, like I'm focused in it. But then
you're in the movie?
Yeah, I'm in the movie.
He was the cook.
It's the cook. It was just like right off the bat, because of it being a product of its time. There's the blatant like sexism in there. I was like, oh, all right. Well, now I really gotta focus on things. Like, holy shit.
That was your. Oh, hold on. This isn't something I can just passively watch. There's gonna be things I need to talk about.
Like it wasn't even subtle, man. That's the.
Yeah, it's not.
She after 3 sentences, like separate conversations that she had with him. She was like, "So you hate women?" And he was like, "Well, I mean, sort of."
Well, okay,
and I was like, "God."
Not even that, like even after it, but before that, he just like didn't even know she was behind him. He just swung and hit her.
Yeah,
Like,
he absolutely.
that was a hit.
Bitch.
There was no fake hit. That was a hit.
I
Oh,
loved.
she got hit.
I loved the moment when she's up on deck and she just first thing she says, "Oh, I love this. I love the sea." And dude just comes back. I hate when women are on ships.
Yep.
And she's just like, I'm sorry.
When women are on
It's
ships,
a-
they always talk
they're all a
about the things
distraction.
that they always talk about the things they love, and it's never me. And it's just like Jesus Christ, dude.
like this poor lady. Her only friend on the ship is this horrible stereotype of an Asian cook, and this
Man.
dude that obsesses over her immediately, and he's still such an ass to her.
He simps so hard, but as masculine as possible.
He's the kind of guy that posts on Reddit forums like nice guys finish last.
He's that kind of guy, but then immediately, as soon as a girl turns him down, he calls him a Jezebel or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As he straightens his fedora.
You know, remember,
Or like-
and this is why I hate women. As he hikes up his belt buckle past his past his navel.
Or automatically be like, oh, it's because you're a lesbian. Like you're not into guys.
Oh, that's the only logical explanation.
Let's not forget this movie was 1933. If he thought that she was a lesbian, he would have just shot her.
Oh, you're right. My bad, I forgot.
He's straight, but it wasn't even that. He was bitching. He was just like, why is it always they gotta have, like, oh, why you gotta bring somebody, why you gotta bring a woman on this ship? And he goes, well, you can't have a picture without a flapper. Yeah, what are you doing? And it's just like, what the fuck is happening?
We need to remember where she came from.
She was kidnapped.
She came from a battered woman's shelter.
She was kidnapped off the street. She didn't even bat an eye, like, oh, mister, oh no, where are you taking me? She's like, well, I guess this is what I get for stealing an apple. Not even stealing.
Like she was looking at apples.
Thinking
She had
about
done
stealing
nothing.
an apple.
And fucking
This
Mr.
dude goes
Director
off at
Man.
her. This dude goes off at her like, she's stealing, and she goes, no, I swear I didn't steal. I mean, I might have thought about it. And I'm like, well, this is the beginning of the thought police now.
Well, and then fucking Mr. Director Denham rolls up and he's like, "Hey, listen, miss, you look like you need a home."
He brushes her off like a diamond in the rough, and he's like, ma'am, oh my goodness, I wouldn't have thought about it until I saw those pearly eyes of yours. You're coming with me.
Pearly
I've been
eyes.
thinking, and it's not even until they're talking, like, she's talking to him, and in a sense, it's like, well, what do you need me for? And it's like, well, I'm in the pictures, baby. Don't you want to be in the pictures? And she's like, oh my dear Lord.
That's exactly what she said.
Yep.
What happened?
I think his mic exploded.
Goddamn headphones.
Don't you want to be in the pictures? God
Yeah,
damn it!
don't you want to be in the pictures, baby? And she straight up is like, well, sure, but I don't even know you. Don't worry, baby. I'm a stand-up guy. I'm not one of those kind of dude. I'm not one of those guys.
I'm not gonna kidnap you.
It wasn't even like that. She was just like,
You just
assuming
kidnapped. You accosted me and grabbed me
Yeah.
from my fruit stand and took me away.
that was
I mean,
I was baffled. I was like, I do not remember this. This is bad.
well, and then he doesn't tell her where they're going.
He doesn't tell her where they're going,
He doesn't tell almost everybody.
you're gonna be the only dame on the ship with a bunch of mugs,
You're gonna be the only dame on a ship full of 40 some odd men out in the middle of the ocean, mind you. No one will ever hear you screaming if you needed help. It's not that you'll need help. It's just because of the implication.
It's the implication.
You keep using that word. I don't.
This movie should have been called King Kong: The Implication.
Yep.
So okay. So all this horrible setup aside, we finally
And they pass it off like, isn't this so fun that we just found this dame on the street? Now we're gonna put her in the movies. Isn't that so great? Oh, you know, we're all the heroes because we tell you that we're the heroes. We're not some creep. We're not just some schmuck. We're stand-up guys.
We're the heroes.
And then we're gonna put you on a ship with a bunch of men that are gonna tell you why they hate you for being a woman.
God. Also, I love this. I love this whole setup that fucking Carl Denham. He's just like, yeah, this guy I met in a bar one time was talking about this island that
he's this ship captain from Denmark, so he knows his stuff.
Yeah, those Danishes know two things: donuts and boating. And and he drew up a little map for me. I got this little 3 little map pieces. If you put them all together, they form an island out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
I'm amazed that he found a crew that big. What kind of money was he shelling out?
I imagine.
All right, I'm going to have you take us out into the middle of the ocean. I'm not going to tell you where we go until me, a film director who clearly has nautical experience, to be able to tell you where to go.
No shit, because like even then he was like, "This is the crew I had for many of my voyages."
I will say, to his credit, I mean, even if you're just a film director, if you go to these locations frequently enough, you're gonna pick up something here and there.
An STD?
Well, that too. But like you can't spend that much time on a boat and not be put to work in some capacity.
True.
So he probably learned some things. I won't say to the extent of what he thought his abilities were, but to his credit, he did manage to pull it off with a crew of 40 some odd people and a blonde dame that he ripped off the streets.
I would just like to issue a formal complaint.
Go for it.
Because all the time in movies,
this is an official Brandon Karen moment.
This is a hot take. I'm stamping my name on this. I firmly believe in this. And I didn't think I had a stance like this until watching the movie.
Sure.
Every dude at some point, the main dudes in this movie, be it the ship captain, the director, or what's his name, Jack, because of course it is.
Yeah.
All of them have somehow this insane talent that you didn't know that they could have, but they all just, it's all at the most convenient of times, and nobody bitches about it at all. Except, and I hear it all the time, whenever a female character in a movie does the same thing, they call her like, what is it, like a Mary Sue. Every single time. And I'm just like, what? This movie, I bring this up, one, because Jack's on a whole other level of like male machismo hero that I'm just like, man, I haven't seen a guy like that in a while.
That's what the 30s were, though.
Yeah. And then on top of that, how did the ship captain know to speak that language?
He mentioned something about that. It wasn't that
there is an island that nobody's been to.
Yeah.
And he just starts talking their language like, I've been here 1,000 times.
No,
don't tell my wife
what he said was it's very similar to one of the languages from the South Polynesians. So he wasn't.
All I can say is at that point I'm like, so
bullshit.
Mary Sue over here just
when
shows up on a brand new island and is just like, yes, I'm actually very fluent in the South Polynesian dialect.
Hold on. First of all, when a man does it, it's not called a Mary Sue. It's Gary Stew.
It's Gary. Ugh, Gary Stew sounds like Gary, but he's got swamp ass.
Ugh.
Secondly, I can kind of give them a pass on this one because any kind of like it's very similar to when you go to Europe and there's the languages that kind of fall under the Spanish or like the Germanic or the Romanic languages is they are kind of similar. So that's the only thing I'm going to say. I agree, like he shouldn't be fluent in this language. He should not have been able to have a full conversation with this village chief, which By the way,
Yeah.
by the way,
By the
Yeah.
way.
By the way.
I am just astonished that it was just a whole village of black stereotype caricatures from that time
Oh.
period.
We're gonna get to one. But I don't want to jump ahead of ourselves.
We've already been bouncing back and forth. This is not
I
going to be
know,
as
but
traditional.
we're at the front of the movie. I don't want to get too out of the way.
Well, see, the thing is at this point, we're like 45 minutes into the movie, and I thought we would be off the island by now.
going from Chicago to L.A. to New York, and
So, ultimately, he should not have been able to communicate fluently with this village. But I do love that they're just like strolling on up, nice sunny day, nobody's like even stopping them, and then they stop and they're like, "Oh, what's going on up there?" And the ship captain's like, "Oh yeah, they're doing one of them their ritualistic sacrifices.
yeah, to Kong, he's a spirit or something.
He's some
or
big
a
spirit,
being.
whatever he is. He lives on the other side of that big foreboding wall."
That door.
And
That big old door.
and fucking Denham immediately is like, "I want to see what's on the other side of that door."
Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to get a picture. Don't you know?
Tell him to open the door. Let me walk on through there with my video camera. I got to do everything myself.
He-
See,
Could not have had the most any more. The only way his outfit as a director could have been more stereotypical was if he was wearing a beret and then also had crop riding boots and his pants tucked into them.
okay, somebody, we
That
get it. You
puffy
watched Blazing
sleeve
Saddles recently.
I watch Blazing Saddles every year.
I do too. It's a great one. No, but like you're right. He was such a
But tell me that's not just like it's
He
so-
had-
I was just
he had the
he had
straw
a
hat
blazer
and all
with
of
no
it.
sleeves and a puffy dress shirt sleeves under it.
That's called a vest.
Fucking Mark, it's called a vest.
It's a blazer with no sleeves. That's just a vest, bro.
Robe.
But like, no, you're absolutely right. Carl Denham shows up to a freaking tropical island dressed like a pirate, and with a straw hat. He dresses like a straw hat pirate, and he's just like,
It's fucking. He turns around and starts whistling and cocks his hat like he's the cock of the walk, which I thought was one of the funniest moves in this movie.
so they're like, yeah, let us go through the gate, and the natives are like, no way. What's wrong with you?
No, but let me tell you something. If you give us that
You
golden
give us that
girl,
woman
girl,
right there. Hey, we'll give you
Give us
5
that
of
golden-
ours.
Oh, Kong would love a golden girl. Oh,
I didn't like it when you said that any more than when they said it.
it was their tongues and their eyes might have all have just popped out like the big bad wolf in a Tex Avery cartoon.
I mean, it could have just been that, literally.
Where do you think
it-
Tex
it could've
Avery
been-
got it from?
Yeah. I will say though, like I know it seems like I'm making fun of this movie, but I really did enjoy the acting in this.
Oh,
movie.
for sure.
The acting is really entertaining. There's nobody who is really overacting, which is really cool because 1933 silent films are literally just a couple years in the past,
Right.
or not even that far away
Yeah.
From this
from
movie?
from this movie.
Okay.
I mean, silent film, like having sound in movies in 1933, it was still crazy.
If I'm
like
not mistaken, this was one of the first movies to have a completely original score throughout the entire film.
I'm glad you bring up the score, because did either one of you hear a certain theme right when the movie starts?
Godzilla's.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's 2 notes that gets played, and it straight up is like, I see where Godzilla got. Like, I feel if
It's
they
those
didn't
heavy drum
pull- if-
beats.
It is
If
the heavy
they
drum beat,
didn't-
yeah.
If they didn't pull that intentionally, that is some of the best example of coincidence. Coincidence.
right?
So this movie, I mean, it is very much like most of the things we're making fun of are products of the time. We're not making fun of like the acting, as you said. We're making fun of
costume designs are incredible.
gorgeous.
The sets are over the top.
This film was well done. The problem is there was the rampant sexism, racism, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So now that we've kind of gotten most of it out,
Well, also because like, you know, you have like this massive tonal shift for everybody on board once they see Faye Dunaway acting like on the boat, like taking like like, you know, following Denham's direction. And I find that absolutely fascinating and gripping that they really did a good job foreshadowing the way that she was going to first react to Kong.
right.
Like if you did something like that now in today's movies, there might as well be someone, Deadpool might as well turn up, pop up, wink to the camera and slap his ass and then disappear.
Yeah.
Because even though we had that whole build up of you're looking up, you're gas, you want to scream but you can't scream, and just that whole thing, and then even when you see Kong for the first time, at no point are you like, oh, they're just doing what they did on the boat earlier. You're just like, oh shit, like that. It feels different.
And
It does.
here's the craziest part of all this is with her acting, especially once we see Kong for the first time, is there was never actually a King Kong there. She was just
right.
This is what you would call good acting.
I mean, and even still, like this isn't at the time now where most actors are like, yeah, I was on a green screen on a green
Right.
set and I didn't see anything and I was talking to a tennis ball or a puppet or something. It's that we're not actors aren't conditioned the way that they are now back then.
Right.
So she is having to really, I mean,
She's having to actually visualize for the first, like, this is one of the earliest examples we see of crossing live action and stop motion.
which this movie, I can't wait to talk about it as we further get in, because there's so many scenes that just watching, like, I think this is how they did it, is so cool.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said to y'all when we were doing Godzilla raids again,
Yeah.
like Corridor Crew did some videos on this particular movie, and them just explaining like how everything's done. Like, even when you're watching it and you still know the tricks, you're like, how the fuck did you think you could do that?
Especially,
Like,
look nowadays, I can green screen shit now, because I have editing software that lets me erase green. Back then, they had to do every single frame by hand.
by hand, what it was, cutouts, paintings,
It's insane. It is absolutely insane how they pull it
paintings,
off.
all of that stuff. Yeah.
But
Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Go. So I just also one of the things that I find just so incredible is even 1933. This movie, we're 9 years out from this movie being 100 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
And and the fact that they were able to make Kong move in, like, you watch it and you legitimately care.
That's
Or
one
you
thing that
feel
really
something. Go ahead.
really grasps me from this movie is the fact that they went from a suit and the stop motion.
Well,
for the
so
fight
it's
and the Kong.
a suit in which way?
When he's close up.
That wasn't a
Nick.
suit. That was a that was
That's
a model.
not a. That's
That
a
was the model. Okay.
So yeah, so the
Yeah.
when they do the zoom in on his head, and his like eyes are moving back and forth. That's
Yeah, like the lid, the upper lid, and bottom
it's-
lid.
That was all mechanical, because there was a point where he had people in his mouth.
Which is one
Yeah.
of the craziest fucking things I had forgotten. there's so many times in this movie where people are just murdered.
Yeah.
Like, that's like,
Stepped on a
God.
couple and
So-
fucking,
Not even just like, oh, I stepped on somebody. Just
Yeah,
like,
he just
no,
stomped
fucking
and, like,
mash you fucking in the
nails
ground like you're a
like,
fucking
yeah.
ant. Like,
So,
he
with-
did a heel turn.
as the crew is like, yeah, we're not giving you our golden goddess. We're gonna keep her on our boat with 40 other men.
And they saunter away. Let's leave politely now, and everything will be just fine. And as the director does a heel turn, whistles and cocks his hat in a funny way. I'm just like, what the fuck is happening?
and then of course, because nobody saw this coming,
Nobody, not a one.
at night as the ship crew is asleep, the natives come on board the ship and
Not
steal.
just the natives, the main dude.
Yeah,
It was just like all of a sudden popping up over the edge of the boat like this is a World War II propaganda film where they show the big bad like menacing.
and they really did not. They did not
My
take
God.
that easy. So they
It was
climb on board.
It was so like I felt like I was hit over the head with a frying skillet.
Yeah, that's this whole movie.
and
then-
just deep fried.
And then they take our sweet golden goddess and they steal her away to give to Kong as his bride, which I feel like that is kind of problematic.
The whole movie's problematic. What are you talking about?
There's all right. So one, I had a similar thought. I was struggling. It's like, should I feel weird that Kong's kind of like sexualizing her? But at the same time, I was like, I don't even know if it's like he's sexualizing her so much as it is like, oh, this is something so new and I've never seen anybody even dressed like this before. Or
I don't think
Like-
it was even that. I think it was, I mean, honestly, he never did anything to hurt her. I think he
No.
was trying to protect her.
which I don't understand what from the it was
you know,
weird because there's so many comparisons to Beauty and the Beast in
Yeah.
this. I mean, the quote at the end of the movie, the fact that she comes out wearing the Beauty and the Beast dress when she's doing her line readings on the ship.
So I had a thought. I had a thought here. We never really see where Kong goes. Like, he never got home, right?
I think that cave was his
I
home.
don't think the cave was his home because there was that sea serpent thing there. I think he was still making
It
his
wasn't
way.
the sea serpent. It was just a giant snake.
Oh, that's what it was. But then also he was making his way up the cliffs, right? And he got stopped by a pterodactyl and Jack
Right.
interfering. I don't think Kong was home yet. So my theory is this: King Kong would rescue these women that the natives were offering up to him and take them to his home where he would take care of them, feed them, protect them, and they just never wanted to go back because why would they want to go back to the village that threw them to the beasts?
I mean, it's an interesting concept.
He
Yeah.
keeps them up on like a stone shelf like My Little Ponies, and every so often he brushes their hair and sings to them, but it's like really
Don't go in
horrible.
my shed.
I was gonna say, Kong's like, don't go on my head.
But that I like to imagine in my head that's what
That's
Kong
your headcanon.
did. That's my headcanon, is that Kong protected all these poor women that were thrown out into the wild, and
Well, because he clearly doesn't eat them.
right.
Mm-mm.
I don't know what he's doing with these women that are being offered up. Also, why do they keep calling them, oh, that's the bride of Kong, and we're just going to offer up other brides every once in a while? I was like, why are you calling them that?
They're
Like-
big fans of that new anime 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You. All right, so
It's
I
just
want
a bunch of 1930s tribal people going, ooh, woo.
to. So I do want to talk about. I want to talk about the chase of Kong when everyone's chasing after Kong, trying to get Anne back. Is
I'm
her name
glad
Anne?
you bring this up because there's so many insane
moments.
because this really is like one of those like you're stepping into this primordial, like, other world.
Right. I think.
And as soon as you step through that door, also at the same time though, what did the tribe make that door out of? Because sure, Kong had enough incentive to eventually break it down, but what's keeping everything else from not doing that? Because I feel like Kong's not the biggest concern to the people.
Well, not only that, if Kong
What's
really
keeping one of
wanted
those
to,
giant snakes from just slithering over the top?
not only that, but Kong could climb over that wall pretty easily.
Absolutely.
And I think that their thought process was that they provide the brides for Kong, and Kong protects them in turn. I think that's what their system of belief is on that island.
Maybe. I mean, it's got to be. Why else would you offer anything up to a god?
Well, yeah. So Anne is abducted by Kong, and Kong is like, "All right, let's bounce."
Licking his lips.
He's like, "Hey, oh my sweet golden goddess, at last I found you." And
also, why the scenes where you see Kong holding her, I'm pretty sure that is an entire hand that they have on an axle that's kind of slowly rotating a little bit to make it look like there's movement.
Oh, like when it's up close on her?
That
yeah, when she's like in the hand, I think that's a full-size Kong hand that they made.
Yeah, so they had
cradled in.
They had a couple of different Kong pieces like that, yeah.
Yeah, which was they did such a good job. They really did. So they did a really good job. Also, did y'all, while talking about her being in like Kong's hand, the far away shots, did y'all notice something?
That's just an action figure.
Yeah, it's full on stop motion figure.
Yeah, they animated her flailing about. Pretty not like super crazy modern convincing, but like Evil Dead convincing.
It was convincing enough that while I was watching it, if I wasn't so finely tuned into like I want to see how they do that, yeah. I think if you're just in like the movie magic moment or in the time, certainly that must have blown people's fucking minds to see. Because even still, I was like, I know how they did this, and I'm still fucking impressed. That's amazing. And they were so smart about every time Kong puts her down, because he puts her down several times.
Honestly, at that point, I feel like they were just showing off.
It felt that way, but they put her down, and they were so slick about it every single time. It's all not even just, but they'd have like Kong walk in front of her, or like his hand angled that a way that when he was putting her down, like it would hide the claymation to live body swap.
There is one specific scene I want to touch on for that, but before we get to that scene,
yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, so we have a few big beats because the
big beats and bigger beasts.
Yeah, so the crew is chasing after Kong. They're already a few steps behind, like they're not close to him.
I love watching the thought process of them just like, all right, there's some logs over there. Let's build a raft. And everyone's still pointing their guns at a log. Look, there's a log right there. And he's like pointing a gun at it.
But so we have the Apatosaurus or Diplodocus, whatever. I don't remember what they said it is. They had a herbivore dinosaur, which is not known to eat other dinosaurs or other creatures, that just casually picks up and starts munching on a dude.
Yes, it absolutely does.
And then it's like, oh, I don't like this, and spits him back out, and then goes back in for seconds.
Also, I love the way they shot that, because there's that. I mean, you can tell that the footage of the stop motion dinosaur is on a separate screen, but seeing how they use the jungle to hide the cut for where the matte painting is.
Yeah.
So you've got like this almost like a 3-shot system happening. So you've got, at least I feel like, so they've got the matte painting, the bar, like the forest, to like frame up where the dinosaur is,
Right.
and then you've got another cutout to show where the humans are.
Mhm.
And I'm just watching it the whole time, and everything about it is like, this is really cool that they're like, we could do this. Like, I love the fact that someone was like, oh yeah, I could totally do it. We filmed it, and then we hand put it. Just the ingenuity of it is fantastic. Except there's one part where I don't think it works.
Yeah.
Do you know the part that I'm talking about?
I don't think I do.
So there's one part when they keep shooting the dinosaur, and they're like, it's not dead yet. Bang! That seems to have done it. Oh, it's still moving. It's not dead yet. Oh, he's a real fighter. And then
Shoot him again.
Shoot him again.
That poor Stegosaurus did not deserve that.
Poor dinosaur
Also-
didn't deserve to be smoked bombed the way that it did.
Also, that Stegosaurus was so much bigger than an actual Stegosaurus.
Well, so that, all right. So here, that was the other thing. So once again, it being Kong Island, like, obviously the dinosaurs are not accurate,
Right.
or, it's very fantastical the way things are going. It's a giant fucking gorilla. So, but the one part of the the forced perspective that didn't work for me is as soon as Jack and Denham were walking along the dinosaur, like, wow, did you look at the size of this thing? This thing is crazy. And you're like, all right, this looks a little, I mean, hey, I get what they're doing. They're clearly like either walking in place or like on a treadmill kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, hey, it's a product of its time. It's not that bad. And then there's this blurry ass shot of a tree that they walk by, but they don't change height at all. And the dinosaur just keeps getting bigger and bigger because of the way that the film was shot. They're like, fuck it, I guess we gotta make this work somehow. And it's the only thing that I was like that shot didn't work.
Yeah. The effects were pretty hokey sometimes, but
I didn't think they were that hokey though.
No. As a whole, not really, but there were some moments that it got.
That one in particular, I was like, this was bad.
So
that was a bad shot.
We get to a point where Kong or the crew is starting to close in on Kong, right? And he shakes up that log bridge, right?
Yeah.
So here's something really cool I found out about that.
Tell me.
There was a deleted scene from the film that has been lost. There is like no copies of this scene that exists, right? Which
What is
sucks. So at the bottom of that pit, when all of them were falling,
Yeah.
there was supposed to be another scene that shows giant spiders eating their corpses.
Oh god.
Ooh.
They cut it entirely when audiences were like, that was the most horrified they'd ever seen audiences in theater. So there was.
Well, it's one of those things, we get real comfortable with this movie because, we wouldn't say like, oh, King Kong's a horror film.
Right.
But this absolutely is.
At the time, was a horror film.
This was a horror movie.
So we then have King Kong having his not epitomus. Is it epitomus? Would epitomus be the right word here? Fight with the T-Rex. It happens in every iteration of Kong that's like acts as the origin story. We always see T-Rex versus Kong, and this is the moment that blew my mind watching this when he put down Anne. Was he sees the T-Rex sees him, they're getting ready to go, and Kong puts Anne at the top of a tree. Now, they never close-upped on it. They didn't zoom in to show Anne falling out of the giant Kong hand. They stayed from a distance, shooting Kong, dropping action figure Anne onto the tree, but halfway through her landing on the tree, it transitioned to her in live action.
Oh, yes.
All of it still from a distance. And it did not feel janky. It did not feel awkward. It looked It looked right.
Yeah.
Now, this fight, like I said, you see it in pretty much every iteration of Kong in some capacity. In the 2005, I know that there was the really snaggly toothed dinosaur that he fought, the T-Rex that he fought. I think on the Skull Island movie, he fought the Skull Crawler, but in the same kind of way he fought the T-Rex, which ends with King Kong snapping the thing's jaw off.
Oh yeah, like full on, just like like holding it and like stretching it open, like yeah.
And then I loved the moment when, after he snapped this thing's jaw and it's laying dead, he kind of nudges it a few times just to see.
Yeah, making sure it's dead. Like, oh, is it alive?
That moment was very grounding for the character. Not because not in the sense of like, oh, we're humanizing the gorilla because he's checking on, like, it made it look like the stop animation gorilla you were seeing on screen was behaving like an actual like creature that exists.
Yeah.
Like he was reacting in a way that an animal usually would, was checking on the thing. And then, more running through the woods or jungle. I get, what's the difference between jungle and woods? Never understood. Is it the climate?
It's more in the sense of like tropical versus.
Okay. So they get to this, and I mean, God, poor Kong, just trying to get home. He has like 6 fights on the way home. And
dude, he is constantly. I'm just like, good lord. No wonder Kong needs somebody to hang out with, because he is like just getting shit on. But he kicks everyone's ass. But at the same time, he's like, man,
genuinely, he is fighting every step of the way. He goes from the T-Rex fight to fighting a giant snake, while also having to deal with the fact that Jack is trying to keep up with him and like shoot at him and keep him from taking Anne away further. And then he finally gets up to the cliffside, away from the snake, away from Jack's freaking gun, and a pterodactyl attacks him. And
not just him, but tries to take Anne.
Anne. And so he's like fucking around with this pterodactyl, and meanwhile Jack and Anne are escaping on a freaking rope down to the ocean.
Which, by the way, all right, so this scene in particular blows me away, because there are quick cuts that show, of the live action Jack and Anne running. He's trying to get her to the cliffside so they can go down the rope. But there's so many slick moments where it shifts to the stop motion figures.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, God, that was so brilliant. And then seeing them, like, the figures go down the rope and then use it. But then the close-up shots of them, like, dangling from the rope. And one of the things that I was trying to figure out the whole time, I was like, is that really Anne holding on to him like that, or is that a dummy?
Oh, when she's got her arms around his neck?
Her arms around his neck, and they're dangling down that rope. I was like, how are they doing this?
Yeah, that was that one was weird.
But I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I don't know if it was a dummy or not.
I want to say this. I have some experience with stop animation from when I was in high school. I did a lot of stop animation stuff for art classes.
Uh-huh.
One of the hardest things, 2 of the hardest things to do in stop motion are hair, like King Kong is covered in, and ropes and wires and things, especially when they are moving. So King Kong, when he is hand over hand pulling this rope up, they did such an amazing job with that stop animation, because
absolutely,
because again, it is so hard to do that and not make it look jank, and they made it not.
No, and there's
jank.
so many times where, like, for instance, as much as I love this movie, the original Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with the abominable snowman.
Yeah.
It's why his character has like frenetic, almost chaotic energy, because they weren't able to keep the hair in a certain way, and that's why it's like why his hair looks like it's kind of like frantically moving and.
Well, it reminds me of, you remember, I don't know if you actually ever watched this on, hold on, when on the Shrek DVD, in the bonus features, they had an entire, so they had the blooper reel, right? But like 90% of the bloopers were all tech bloopers, right? So one of the things that it showed was the animators trying to control hair. And even CGI hair is so hard to keep from fucking around.
It's so difficult.
So and that's what it always reminds me of is when watching King Kong, because there was a few times that you can see his hair just kind of all over the place.
Right.
Right, but it's not every time. So when
Right.
you do see it, you're like, oh
wow, they
something.
messed it all up.
But it's not every single shot to where you're like, oh, this almost makes me sick watching.
Right. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jack and Ann get away, because of course they're going to get away.
They
And
run through that jungle so fast. Oh, by the way, also, do we mention the fact that the natives are hiding out this entire time and abandon the village when they run after Anne?
Yeah.
They're just like, well, I guess
Yeah,
the natives are gone. Like,
Yep.
what? And then all of a sudden they poke their heads out from their houses. And I'm like, you didn't check their houses once.
yeah.
What are y'all doing?
Well, also, I love, so they hoof it. They are haul-assing back through the woods.
All assing. They might as well be Looney Tunes running, like their feet making like car noises.
Yeah, their feet doing the Flintstone noises as they're scampering. And and they get to the big old gate, and everyone's like, yeah, they made it. And then they see Kong barreling towards them like an Olympic sprinter, and they're like, oh shit, close the gate, get them natives out of those houses, have them help us close the gate.
Kong's coming. And even the natives are like, oh no.
Oh, these white men fucked up. And then
we're fucked.
And then they managed to get it like closed like 3/4 of the way. They're putting the bar on, trying to get it in place, and it just explodes.
Yeah.
Kong's like, yeah, nah, hi, hey guys, anyone, where'd my white women go?
Where'd that one white lady go?
Where did that one white woman go? Also, everybody here gonna die.
Yeah.
And there's one moment as the villagers are frantically trying to get away.
I'm so glad you're gonna say this.
There is a full-on close-up mammy moment.
Full on.
Like hands up in the air, wide-eyed, screaming, big old, like I have to assume they told her to show her teeth when she was doing this, with how much teeth she was showing.
Oh, it was so bad. I was like, oh no. Like, I get that you're like, oh, we're showing her trying to save her baby, but it's like, you didn't have to do that though.
Yeah. Well,
You wouldn't make-
honestly, it looked, from what it looked like to me in that moment, was like, you remember those old, was it Twilight Zone, when they would show somebody screaming, but it would be like almost silent, and there would be like the lightning bolts behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
God, a lot of those natives died, like a lot of them.
So, all right. There's so many deaths in this movie. Like, I forgot. I was like, there are a lot of people who die, mostly by Kong just putting them in his mouth and chomping on them,
Or stepping on them, or throwing them, or
it would have been enough if he only stomped on one person, the first person. But he's like, baby, we're going for round 2. Not only that, I'm gonna stomp on you several times, and we're gonna show them trying to crawl away. But I'm gonna grind my foot into the earth.
hey, yo, bro, is that your house over there? Fuck your house. And he just there's straight up a point where he's punching down on the house, and I'm like,
Yeah.
guys, you didn't have to go this hard, but God bless you for doing it. And then finally, fucking director Dickbag is like, all right, guys, now it's time for us to be the heroes, because we are. And he looks at the camera and he winks, and then they bomb King Kong.
Gas bomb him.
The gas
Yeah,
bomb.
they gaslight King Kong.
They do gaslight him.
They gaslight Kong, tie him up, throw him on the boat, and head back to land. Because, that seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like,
And then he's just like, but we're here, and I came here for my picture, and it's just like, so we're gonna take Kong back to the States. What?
this is the
This
best
dude's
idea.
crazy.
This is the best idea anyone's ever. How has nobody thought of?
We're
Only
gonna make
I could have thought of an idea this big.
gentlemen. We're gonna make millions, and I'm gonna share it with you. Just help me get this Kong.
Hey, all three of you, quit quivering over there. Help me move this gorilla back onto the boat. Like, seriously, there was like maybe 5 crewmen left by the time they got done on this island.
Oh yeah.
Now, again, I did not realize how much time was spent on the island, because at this point I was like, this is like halfway through the movie. I'm gonna stretch, grab some water, move around a bit. I looked at it. There was 12 and a half minutes left in the movie.
Oh yeah. Once you hit that point, like, it's quick, fast paced.
And I mean, honestly, like, everyone kind of knows what happens at the end of this. It's like,
I love the moment where they're all in the theater. They've got Kong up on a pedestal, and they're like, all right, so Ann and Jack, come and tell us how we captured this beast. And from this, it's, and everyone's like, oh my God, are we safe? And they're like, don't worry, those chains are made out of chrome steel. And it's just like, oh no.
oh, guys.
No.
This is, so me and Angel the other night just started watching Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. Or no, sorry. Which one's flying? Which one's Derpzilla?
That would be Godzilla versus Kong.
No,
Kong
okay,
versus
no, I'm
Godzilla.
sorry. It was definitely Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, because we got to the point where they were talking about how it was space titanium, and I said,
yeah.
I just went, you don't say. Elaborate on how you pieced that one together, Doc. That's the same emotion I felt when I heard chrome steel.
Those chains are made out of chrome steel. Nothing's gonna break it. And I was like, I've got bad news.
Because
really
funny thing about chrome is that usually just refers to a very shiny silverish metal.
That's what I was thinking.
So that is very, very polished steel. Steel breaks under pressure, as most metals do. I feel like they could have gone with they could have splurged a little bit more and got a little bit more of a durable type of metal to make those chains with. Because as soon as Kong saw Ann kissing Jack, he lost his goddamn
mind.
Yeah.
One might say he went ape.
Shit.
Haha.
But chish. Yeah, and
which then led to one of the most insane scenes that I forgot was in this movie. Is when so everyone starts escaping the theater,
including Kong,
and running, that's why they had to leave, because Kong was getting out. And Kong starts doing that real famous scene where he's climbing up the building,
right,
busting into the windows and being a fucking peeping Tom.
Oh my God, seeing his ass peer through that window with that big dumb grin on his face, I was like,
big grin,
I was
terrifying.
Sold.
And he grabs that woman from her bed,
and
the
whole time she is screeching,
and it's not Anne, and he just goes, "That's not my broad," and drops her
to her death. Because he was like 20 stories up. Like, this was not ground level droppage.
Yeah, this isn't like maybe she lived. Nope, she dead.
Yeah,
she's
at least bruised an ankle, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
And then he keeps climbing, and luckily for him, Ann and Jack and the captain and Carl are all in a room just a few floors above. And he sees Ann, and he's like, oh, Oh,
It's my girl.
I see my delicious golden goddess is here. And he grabs her, and Jack tries to fight off a giant gorilla arm.
Which is so crazy.
It's just such a bad shit moment. And then Kong climbs to the top of the top of the it was the Empire State Building, right?
Yeah.
And he's just up there being all stop motion and shit. And they're like, oh, the only way to bring down a giant gorilla is with some giant guns. Let's
Anybody think about the planes?
Let's throw some B-12s at her, whatever shit fucking biplanes those were, and they just start shooting at him. No regard for the fact that there is a living human woman right there. I mean, I guess at this point, greater good.
Was thinking so hard. I was like, how is one of those bullets not just a stray bullet and just all of a sudden she's dead?
Her head just fucking explodes.
Not only just her, but just like the way that they're shooting down too is at an angle, and they're shooting down at it sometimes
through the building.
Yeah, there's like other buildings behind it.
Like, I have to imagine that they were not worried about collateral damage in this moment.
No.
They were just
like, nah, this big ape, this is our biggest problem. We've never faced a problem this big.
Did you hear that, Johnny? We get to shoot a giant gorilla and don't have to worry about any kind of collateral damage. They went to
slap my ass and call me Sally. Get me in the cockpit.
the cockpit, because you only get to watch. And then they gun him down, and he falls off the building. Their famous scene where he just falls and roars, and
it wasn't even that he just fell. It was labored. Like, there was so much of a build up.
Yeah.
So like Kong's just he's trying his best, and Kong's really a victim in this story, and
100%.
Despite the fact that he killed people, he's an animal that was literally taken from his island.
It was all in self-defense, honestly.
It was all, yeah. He's just like, hey, look, I had a good deal going with the people who worshipped me, and then y'all came and ruined this for me, and now I'm taken from my island.
I'm the bad guy here.
I'm the bad guy here.
See,
okay, I'm the bad guy.
You got to look at it in the same sense that you watch Frankenstein, because Frankenstein, the monster was 100% the victim.
Oh yeah.
And same thing with King Kong. He was victim of circumstance. People came to his island, went to his, broke into his territory, stole his woman, and then fucking gassed him. I'd be pissed too. And then they started with all the flash pictures and shit. Dude, I tell you what, if I just woke up from a nap to people taking pictures of me, I'd be... I can see why he threw a woman off a building. Let's just put it that way.
Also, he has no concept of life, really. He's just like, I'm
not in the same sense that we do, but you don't know that he doesn't have the concept of what life is.
True.
He likes to scratch his ass and eat bananas just like any other gorilla.
Also true. Also, I love how there was also a train scene.
Oh my god. I said the same thing. I was like, it is incredible that we have a train scene of him just, man, no wonder people stop building trains, man. In this day and age, it's not safe to have a train because King Kong is going to pick it up and use it like nunchucks. Oh my god.
Yeah.
If that does not happen in Kong versus Godzilla, or King Kong versus Godzilla, I'm going to be really unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, here's the thing about that.
I know it doesn't. It would be great. Hollywood, you should get on that. Godzilla versus Kong 3. Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon. And its destroyer.
Oh, I was thinking Space Godzilla would be cool.
Oh yeah. Space Godzilla would be cool.
Kong dies. And we do get that line, as you said, it looks like it was beauty that killed the beast. And he smokes his cigarette. And he just long exhales it as the credits.
Also, it's crazy that the movie, it's one of those, we don't get much more, that's the movie. And
That's the end. We don't know what happened after that.
There's no him having to go to jail or pay for international smuggling of an animal of illegal transport of an animal.
Well, smuggling laws or international transport of animal laws were a lot looser back then.
True, but
Also,
that's how it would go nowadays.
Now that I'm thinking about it, did we ever see Anne get off the building?
No, because Kong falls, and then that's... Well, no, because Jack ends up being up, running, somehow getting the... Right?
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
I
Or am I
gotta be
thinking
honest,
about
yeah.
the first... Or is it the first building that we see him get... No, it's...
I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
he gets up.
Yeah,
He gets up to the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say it'd just be funny if they kind of forgot about her up there. Like for weeks, you have people calling the landlord. There is some terrible screeching sound. I've been hearing it for like 3 or 4 weeks now, and it's just Anne up there trying so hard to get someone to hear her.
And then she gets arrested for being a public nuisance.
Well, after a few weeks, she'd probably be dead. So, by the time
Yeah.
they just throw her corpse in jail next to the director. Now that we've seen what is arguably one of the first kaiju films of all time,
Oh, most definitely.
I mean, again, this movie was a bit hokey with, like, just as a whole with the special effects, but it also was 100% revolutionary.
Yeah.
Like American audiences at this point. I mean, back then, movies were mostly romances. They were mostly just dudes and babes kissing and like maybe war propaganda films.
Yeah, they were. Well, also, I mean, remember at this time, I mean, movies were driven as a spectacle. To
Right.
be able to get people out of the house
Okay.
and into a movie theater, and there not being a ton of movie theaters.
Right.
You know, this was the pinnacle. Like, the fact to go to the movies, like the theaters back then. Like, theaters nowadays, there's no frills, there's no art that's done in them. Like, you go to a truly historic movie theater, and like, what is this place? They must do crazy Broadway shows or here, something like that. And they're like, nope, they just show movies
Well,
here.
there's a reason
like-
why they were theaters back then, but they're theaters now.
Yeah.
It's lost a bit of the spirit of what it used to be. And
Well, and there used to be, you know, they'd have it so there'd be an actual pit or like places for instruments
Right.
for there to be scores, especially during the silent film era.
exactly.
And then, you know, like one of my absolute all-time favorite movie theaters, the Bird Theater in Richmond, Virginia, my hometown.
I was gonna make a joke about it being some dumb bullshit place in Virginia. God damn it.
It's
I was like, no, you know what? I'm gonna be
absolutely-
nice
It's
this
an
time.
absolutely historic movie theater, and it has a pipe organ that comes up out of the stage, and they do it for like pre-shows and special nights. But
That's actually pretty cool.
like, it's
Yeah.
full on your crushed velvet seats. There's statues and fixtures all in the building. Like, it's a magical place, and I mean, it's a historical building that's been there since I think the 30s, the 20s or 30s.
Back when that
Um,
flap was
cool.
in every film.
I mean, absolutely, you gotta have a name.
You can't have a film without a flap.
But you know, yeah, it was romances. There were action movies, but then on top of that, there were comedies.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is back in the day when you've got,
Well, this is the Great Depression era.
I mean, 1930s, absolutely.
Like this was either right before or right in the middle of the Great Depression era.
I mean, this is Charlie Chaplin era. This is, what's that? God dang it, the comedian that did the stunts. Thank you, Buster Keaton. I was like, it starts with a B. I know it does.
See, Brandon, that's
Yeah.
how you catch a rebound that someone's trying to throw for you when you're doing a review series.
Is this because I left you hanging? Because it's not my fault.
Oh, I know, but
But-
to your point, yeah, this film was ahead of its time in a lot of ways.
There's a reason why this movie is in the Library of Congress and is like a historic film. Like this movie, despite it being dated, it is a movie that I think everybody should watch, because it helps you understand why we have these, like, the fact that this movie even exists, let alone that it came out at the time that it did, is bonkers.
Oh, for sure.
Let's have a giant fucking ape that literally can just pick up people and just, like, they're dolls. It's like, excuse me? What?
Well, not only that.
It's fucking insane. Like, it's sci-fi before you realize it's sci-fi.
Well, and this movie, it was back before everything was a cash grab. There wasn't like, this was okay. There was.
Oh, don't worry. They made up for it with Son of Kong.
Oh, I was leading up to that. You bitch. You fucking bitch.
You fucking
ruined.
bitch.
I wasn't even setting you up on that one. You just took that from me.
Well,
Oh, he does that.
I felt like you. Well,
I was circling the toilet bowl. I was getting there. But yeah, no, and
trickling the drain.
And, you know, the shameless cash grab that they did, you know, less in the same year, Son of Kong, which released like 3 or 4 months down the road.
But yeah, overall, y'all have any final thoughts, or maybe, you know, anything you want to add?
I mean, honestly, I think we covered all of it going through.
Yeah.
It's
Great movie.
a good movie.
It is, yeah, it's a good
I
movie.
absolutely stand by it. I think this is a movie everybody needs to watch.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this film yet, fucking fix yourself, bro. Sorry.
Give your balls a tug.
Give your balls a chug. No, I think that this film is, you know, again, it's a product of its time. There's a lot of things that are a little bit less than savory nowadays, but as a whole, it's a very enjoyable film. It's one that people should watch. You know how Chris Pratt has that list of films that he has his kids watch? He tweeted out this list of films that he thinks that every child should watch before they hit adulthood. I think King Kong is one of those films.
Oh, I'd say so.
Because
I mean, even after adulthood.
well, no, I'm not saying only then. I'm saying, like, you know, before you
Just
hit
the
adulthood,
lowest.
also see it again a lot when you're older. I'm gonna probably watch this one at least once or twice a week from here on out.
From here on out,
We're gonna revisit this film periodically, just so that we can you know, talk about things we've noticed. This film was a great film, and it led to something that I cannot wait to watch. We're gonna talk about Son of Kong at a later point. It's not gonna be the next thing we talk about, but we will be talking about it soon.
we should probably do it around the same time we do Son of Godzilla.
That, you know what? It's funny that you say that. That's exactly what my plan was. So, you know, good brains think good and stuff.
Yeah, good brain think good.
Good,
Do running it.